Welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and the Monkey Crew this week. We are recording this on September 2nd. There we go, guys. 9/2, right? Okay, so we're recording this on September 2nd, and you guys have been listening for a while, know about me in 2s and 9s. I actually mentioned last week about my dog, and being at that 920 address, I don't know, every time it's almost to where it is no longer a wow. It's like, yawn, it's like, oh, there it is again, but yeah.
He's following you.
But no, I find it, this is a great day for this show. 9/2. I mean, this is, I should be right in the groove, right? Clicking right along and good stuff. So, you had something you wanted to start off with there?
Yeah, so news-wise, and I'm sure everybody's heard about it by now, and everybody's probably watched the videos by now, but that live shooting that was on there. Yeah, where it was two different camera angles, one from the first-person point of view of the shooter and one from the cameraman, and it supposedly happened on live TV. And the first time I seen the video, I seen it on Facebook. And I didn't read the caption, it just was one of those automatic plays. And I watched it real quick before I scrolled down, and as soon as I first seen it, initially I was like, why would somebody fake something like that? And I just kept scrolling. Well, later on that day, I heard from some people talking at work about somebody being shot on live TV, and I'm thinking, well, that couldn't have been the video that I seen. So I checked Facebook again, the good old Facebook, and I found that video and I watched it, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that just, I'm just not seeing how that was real. There's nothing about the video that looked real. And then I got on YouTube and watched the first person point of view from the shooter's point of view, and that didn't look real. And then I started looking at stuff, and and I'm not saying that it's real or that it's fake or that it's this or that, but I'm just saying that there's lots of things happening right now to try to keep us down, to put us in a state of fear or in some sort of negative state. And I just see all those ploys by mainstream media and advertising, all this kind of stuff. I see this as just ploys to keep us down and to not let us race to our full potential. So I just want to say, to everybody out there, when we see these types of things on the news or when we hear about them, look at them with extreme discernment. Look at them, and for me, I just instinctually feel, whether it happened or it didn't, and I'm not going to put my judgment out there. I mean, I said enough about it. But for everybody else out there listening, just look at everything with discernment, and if it doesn't feel right, then don't go with it. I mean, only you can tell you what's true. I mean, and everybody can lie to anybody else, but it's really hard to lie to yourself. So you're gonna know, just listen to that inner voice, listen to that intuition.
I can start off with a couple of real obvious ones in that whole thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the first person view thing, that one right there throws it out the window for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to tell me that if some guy's standing, 5 feet away from two people talking with each other, holding a gun out in front of them, that they're not going to notice it.
Yeah, well,
and they're not going to react. How long was he?
23 seconds.
Yeah, so
from the time it was 23 seconds from the time he initially pointed the weapon at her until he fired it. It was 23 seconds, and it was within 5 feet. And I just don't, nothing about, ding, 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 ding,
Right,
red flag,
right,
red flag,
right,
red flag,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about something more positive. Let's get in with our guest tonight. I'm so excited to hear from her.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you guys that are on the conscious path, if you are in the podcast world, I am sure you have come across our guest tonight. We've got Michelle Walling with us. She is a certified holistic life coach, webmaster, writer, and host on the N5D Radio's The Cosmic Awakening Show. As a truth seeker, she is committed to share her experiences with the world. Michelle has joined forces with Greg Prescott as an admin for the N5D Facebook page, as an assistant for the N5D events, and as a contributing author for N5D. All of Michelle Walling's articles and radio appearances can be found on her database, CosmicStarseeds.com. Holistic counseling sessions can be booked through her website, MichelleWalling.com, and the truth about the holographic nature of the Matrix and how we are going to dissolve it can be explored on her website, HowToExitTheMatrix.com. And with all those wwws being thrown out there, welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio, the www.the100thmonkeyradio.com. Michelle Walling.
Yay!
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm very excited to be here tonight.
Well, thanks for being for being here. I was so excited when I Facebooked you and and I asked for you to come on the show, and I was just so amazed within a half an hour you had responded to me, and I was thinking, what? How could she respond to me so quick? I was almost starstruck.
Oh, no, please. But I spend most of my time on the computer. Either I'm doing a show or I'm writing an article or I'm preparing for a show or I'm searching for articles for my website or I'm reading or I'm communicating with people. I'm not hidden. I'm definitely accessible, and I try to answer everybody, even if it's just with a few words.
Yeah, you definitely are, and we thank you very, very much for for coming out and responding, coming on the show. We just are very thankful, and you have our gratitude.
Appreciate it. Awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you. Gratitude is the highest vibration, right up there with love.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, Michelle, you haven't been into this world, the woo-woo world, for very long here. Out on the world stage within the woo-woo world, anyways. I know for me personally, it took that proverbial 2x4 upside the head to get me to start asking questions and really starting to dig into the who, what, whys, and how of this place we call Earth and the existence of humankind. What was it for you that actually pointed you towards seeking out understanding of the greater reality?
Well, it's a very interesting thing that happened to me. I climbed the ladder of the corporate world, and I married into a business relationship in the oil field industry. And I pretty much was feeling successful when I was a high-level executive in the oil field industry and had pretty much everything that people strive to have, materialistic-wise, on the planet, and also, partnership-wise, someone who loves you very, very much, dotes over you, would do anything for you, that type of thing. But I was yet finding myself very unfulfilled and depressed and drinking heavily, not, every day or anything, but if I had to go to a social engagement, I would, I didn't want to do it without alcohol because I just didn't like being around people, especially people in that industry, but I didn't understand and I didn't know why. So I began to question reality when I watched Ghost Hunters on television. And it was my husband's daughter who told him one day, hey, have you seen this show called Ghost Hunters where they they have recorders, camcorders, and digital voice recorders, and they have evidence that ghosts are real. And really, I had never, ever had anything in my life paranormal except for one dream, one precognition dream that came true when I was in high school. And so I really got into this show, and I went to the bookstore, and they have this little section in the back under New Age where you can find things next to the paranormal. And I started reading about like Brian Weiss, past life things, and I was like so into it. I spent about a year reading everything, all the New Age bullshit. I read it all. And all the New Age really good stuff. I read all of that too. And really it helped me to find myself, because my biggest question was, well, if I've had so many lives and everything, well, who am I, and why am I here? And did I get trapped here? Did I come here voluntarily? What star system am I from? All these questions started coming to mind, and I think Dolores Cannon's books and Barbara Marciniak were two of the real heavy hitters for me as far as extraterrestrial origins. And that's when I really immersed myself in that kind of stuff, and then went down a couple of rabbit holes that weren't so well-intentioned, as far as some channelings and stuff that didn't quite pan out to be what I thought they would be, and some groups, until I finally came around and learned how to discern and start finding out these answers through the connection with my higher self, and going directly to source, and not calling on archangels and other beings outside of myself to help me. So I guess it was about, it was 2013 when I went to one of my probably 10 conferences I went to, and this one was N5D's conference here in Sarasota, Florida, and that's when I met Greg Prescott. And things I guess were just meant to be. We just hit it off immediately. We've worked together ever since. He asked me very shortly after our meeting if I would like to write articles. Then I found out he does that to everybody, but but I learned how to write articles, and then he invited me to do a radio show. And I mean, our whole life is this. This is all we do. We are here to serve, and we are just so grateful to have a partner in our lives that we can eat, sleep, drink, everything in 5D, and raising your consciousness, raising your vibration, and just everything. We're into it all, and we try to cover a broad spectrum of things. So that's where I'm at today as far as my awakening. I've spent 5 years solid just immersing myself in this, and really I look back over all the work I've done on myself, and I'm just amazed at how it's true, if you just keep working at it, how you become more of your soul self and less of this third dimensional person that everybody knows you as.
Yeah. So I got a question for you. Going through your awakening process and being in the corporate world, when you're coming to these, when you're coming across these information, about what's really going on, and you're in the system, how did you deal with that? And, where did you decide that?
Or I guess the question is, had you already left the corporate world prior to your ghost hunters experience?
No. I was deep into my marriage, and it's a really good question, because many people are wondering, should they leave their job in the banking industry once they find out, that the banks are part of the number one illusion of money on the planet in order to control us. And I would say that the oil and gas industry is like at least number 3 or 4, because we all rely on gas, and they've just basically made it one of the biggest illusions out there. So what happened is I really tried to, well, when you first wake up, you want to share your experience with somebody. You want to talk to somebody. You want somebody to know what's going on. And all I had was at the time was my husband, and I tried really, really hard to share with him my experiences. And bless his heart, he really acted like he understood, but honestly, he would fall asleep right in front of me several times, just talking to him and telling him about my experiences and what I've learned and everything. So we began to separate vibrationally very quickly, and I finally, when I realized about, oil being like Mother Earth's blood, and, kept the plates lubricated when the Earth wants to move and breathe and expand and everything, and the fracking, causing the earthquakes and all the stuff that was happening, and the fact that, we are kept under control from the oil field industry. I I sat down with him one day and I said, I think it's about time that you retire. He had retired from one of the largest oil companies and had gone into consulting for about 13 years at that point. And we had plenty of money. And I said, how much money do you think we actually need to live? And, we went through this, and he tried to retire and he just couldn't do it. And we just became more distant vibrationally, and there was just no other choice for my happiness and my spiritual growth than to end that marriage. And come to find out that there was so many things that gave me the clues that it had to happen. But come to find out, I met Greg that very same year after I left, and it was about 4 or 5 months right after that I met Greg. So that's how strong of a urging I had from my soul to leave. And it happened because I sat down with the universe one day, and I had, I guess, a prayer or a talk or whatever. And I said, I'm here to serve, and if you want me to do my job, I need you to bring the people into my life that I can work with. And I need support, and I need my toolbox. And so that was a very powerful thing I did, and things began to unfold from there. So to answer your question, I had to end the relationship.
Right before you said that was a very powerful thing that you did, I was inside my head, I was going, wow, that's a very powerful statement to make.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was a very powerful thing, having my toolbox.
That's cool.
Yeah, so, okay, well, that's great, and we see where you're at, and now here you are. You are out there on the world stage, and you are helping people, and you're putting out some pretty damn amazing information, and you've been on the fast track to awakening. I'm jealous as all hell, just kind of, of so many of these people here in the last, the last 10 years. That I have watched just blossom and explode into awareness and consciousness. My daughter's one. I mean, I used to be crazy dad. And one of the greatest moments in my life is when my daughter came up to me and said, "Dad, you're not crazy."
Oh, I'm waiting for that day.
It'll happen. It will happen. But so many things are happening on the planet right now. I mean, so much change and so much shifting, and people that are having these experiences that are just knocking their shoes off and opening their world to a huge, wide vista of infinite possibility. And along with all of this explosion of awareness and consciousness, we're seeing out there a lot of the bumps and trials and tribulations that people have to go through to get to these points, to clear themselves, to clean themselves, to get to a place where they are a ready vessel for the new awareness, for the new knowledge, for the power that goes along with this new awareness and the responsibility that goes along with this new levels of awareness and consciousness. All of these things coming together. Now, going back to the bumps on the road, the things that they have to go through to get to this. I have noted something here recently, and this is a fairly different energy that seems to be pretty widespread on the planet. I have seen a lot of people go through this here in the last couple of months, and I've heard a few different terms that have been bandied about as far as people like to label things and label what's going on. But I just like to get your take on it, and this has to do with some pretty intense illnesses that people are experiencing right now. I know you did the show with Kelly last week, and she expressed having basically walking pneumonia from what it sounds like, and I actually am just coming out of it myself. We actually didn't do a show for 3 weeks because I was so ill. I'm just curious, what's your take on what all of this is and what's going on with that?
Well, I'm fairly certain that the body knows how to speak with us, and we just don't know how to listen to the body. And so there were probably, I just love Kelly so much. And, I know that there's chemtrails in the Dallas-Fort Worth area because I lived there most of my life. This is the first time I've ever lived out of the state of Texas. I'm here in Florida now, and we have them here too. But when you get something like that in your lungs, it's your lungs clearing out toxins and toxic energy all at the same time. And when I had a couple of my dark night of the soul, I had ascension flu, what's called ascension flu. And I was in bed at least for 5 days with very high fever, chills, aches and pains, could hardly walk, could hardly do anything. And one time it turned into going into the lungs, almost to pneumonia state. But, your body has to clear all of this food and all of this. I mean, I've had 40 years of toxins from fast food, maybe not 40, maybe 35, because I don't know if they had it, when I was 5 years old. But, I had a lot of things to clear out, and you can do it the hard way or you can do it the easy way. The easy way would be to do your detox, cleanse your colon, change your diet drastically, and, make sure that you're putting clean, non-GMO foods in your body, clean water, all of those things that you've heard about. But really the energetics, one of the things that happened with me before I had my grand awakening was a preparation where I had a few very severe anxiety attacks to where I had heart palpitations, and I thought I was having a heart attack, and the first time, and I went to the hospital after it was over. It lasted about 15 minutes. I was in my car, and I was pulling a trailer with my belongings. I had just moved out of a boyfriend's house, and was having an attack in the car. And later I found out. I went to the emergency room hospital after that and had an EKG, and I was perfectly fine. Later I found out what it was. I'd never had one before. But then now I find that, as the earth raises her vibration, the heart is in congruence with the earth's heart. And so if we don't work on raising our vibration, our body will just simply do it for us, and it may scare the crap out of you, Mm-hmm. Now the lungs, it's the lungs and the kidneys and some of our other organs are specifically there to bring us oxygen and to help detox us. And our oxygen levels are way off. I mean, Greg and I drink water with an ozone machine. We put ozone in our water to try to increase the amount of oxygen that goes to our brains, and just overall to help out our system. So we don't get enough oxygen, and the oxygen that we do get is, pretty much toxic. So There are so many other things happening. Migraine headaches would be something that's very popular right now. I still have intense bouts of when I wake up and come back into my body in the middle of the night to turn over, I get extremely hot. The intenseness of coming back into my body instantly raises the temperature of my body. And so I have extreme sweats right then. I no longer have the full night sweats like I had a couple of years ago. And doesn't have anything to do with like hormones or anything like that, because men are having the same thing.
Yes, I am.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was.
So these ascension symptoms are things that you can find on N5D. If you go to the search button and type in ascension symptoms, you'll see and better understand and know when you need to go to the doctor or hospital, or when you need to, acknowledge what it is and thank your body for clearing and helping you to get through these things, and telling you that there's something in your energetic field that is a little off. And it just means that you just need to keep grounding and keep doing your clearing and bringing in more light into your body, and asking for more help from your higher self and source and your guides to better integrate that energy coming in, because it can't come through your body if there's a block. And the energy's coming. It's here. The energy is here, and it's coming in more and more intensity.
Michelle, this is Greg. That makes a whole lot of sense now that you mention that. Last year, about this time, I had profusely crazy sweats at work, just constantly just dripping sweat. And my awakening, it came within a year. And I just noticed since after that time, I haven't had any more sweats, and I even felt a lot healthier. I even had the heart palpitations and was rushed to the emergency room a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago. All that what you're saying is just what I've experienced myself.
I'm pretty sensitive to energy, and one of the things I was fishing for out of this is kind of the overall energy that is coming in, because when something takes me for a loop like that, I can see it reflected out in the world in some place, in some state, in some energetic form, and I don't know. It's almost like I sense that there is a major shift, and that has to do with the atmosphere, with the air, or with the air quality, or something along those lines right now that's happening somewhere on the planet.
Well, there is a major shift going on. It's the Earth is shifting into her crystalline form, and our bodies are changing from carbon-based to crystalline-based, and it's happening because of the high-frequency consciousness energy that's coming from the cosmos and bathing the planet. And we will talk about Wave X, if you want to, in the second half of the show, where we're talking about a wave of this energy that's more magnified and intensified than anything we've felt so far. In order for this to happen with our bodies, this has taken, I guess all of you guys are probably about the same age as I am, and we probably knew when we incarnated that we would get to experience this in our lifetime. But this has been happening for several years. I don't know to be exact, but I would guess at least maybe 50, 60, 70 years. It's been slowly coming. I mean, and when I say slow, I mean it started waking people up in, this consciousness, this higher vibrational energy fields started waking people up in the 60s, and then, worked its way up. And some people, the forerunners were awakened back then. Some people have been awake since they were born. And I cannot imagine waiting this long through that slow period of time where that consciousness was slowly coming in, slowly vibrating our bodies a little bit faster. And I'm going to share something with you which is another effect of my awakening, and that is that I hear a vibrational hum in my head. And when I first started hearing it was, I think in 2010 or 2011, and I was out in nature, and I was meditating, sitting, sun gazing in a field in Canada. I'm from Texas. It's really hot in Texas, and it was the summertime, and in Canada it was like 70, 75, one of these perfect days. And I'm just really into it. And then I started to hear this vibrational hum inside of my head. And it's a multi-octave type harmonic humming. And it started out in Morse code. And in other words, it would be like, mm, 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 mm. And then over time, the sound would get of a higher solid frequency, still harmonic, but with less Morse code in between. And then at one point it became very solid, where there was hardly any breaks in between. And I couldn't find anything about it on the internet anywhere. And I finally have come to the conclusion that I'm hearing my own vibrational level, and it's still there. It's in the background. I've asked Spirit to put it in the background because, I mean, it's very distracting to have your whole head ringing like a bell, but in a humming type thing. And so I can really gauge, I feel like I can really gauge the vibration of the planet and my body in sync with it, with this tone in my head. So that's just something I haven't really shared before.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You know, I know that at us here we have little bouts of, you know, what some might say would be a tinnitus?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, and you know, I haven't been exposed to that loud of environments for that long, so I know it's not that. But yeah, I mean, like I'll have, you know, ringing in my ears that'll just come out of nowhere, and sometimes it comes with, you know, a lightheaded feeling, and sometimes it doesn't. But it comes in all different ranges of pitch, though. Sometimes it's a lower tone, sometimes it's a higher tone.
There's a couple of things happening there, and sometimes it can come in the left ear,
yeah,
and it can go like deaf for a second until it comes in and it's really loud, and then it goes out, or it could come in the other ear. Well, sometimes you have beings or entities that are coming around you, and that's one reason why it could happen. Another reason why it could happen is it could actually be a frequency being sent to you to help harmonize your body and help the tune of your own body. And a third thing it could be is it could be an ELF frequency from the government, or, you know, so, yeah. HARP or whatever, CERN, whatever. You know, you could be hearing that as well. But really, most of the time that I've heard them, I've just kind of like grinned and smiled and acknowledged and said thank you, because I don't really live in fear of this. You know, that what the government is trying to do is not going to work on me. So
yeah,
I just kind of smile. You know.
Yeah. So I got some questions for you. You know, we do a lot of shows with people who channel, you know, different entities, and you know, I'm just kind of curious on what's your take on the outlook of archangels and ascended masters, and if you might feel that they could possibly have an underlying agenda that we don't know, or that we haven't asked the right questions for them to unveil it to us.
Well, my view on channeling has really gone through the ringer. When I first started listening to channeling, as I mentioned, Barbara Marciniak was one of my very favorite books. And the reason why I loved it so much is because it really raised my vibration. I mean, I was really excited to hear that the Pleiadians are here to help and to tell us that we're moving through the photon belt. We would be raising our vibration, and that's the most important thing right now, is to be raising your vibration. And it just all sounded so true to me. And you know what? It still does to this day. I think what has happened is that the more that people started raising their vibration, the more the dark side began sending more troops in to try to do some deception and to kind of catch people who had been channeling for 20, 30 years, to catch them a little off guard and start inserting things into their channelings without them really realizing or understanding, because, a lot of times they could see clairvoyantly who was coming to them to channel, and these other beings have the ability to shapeshift and be whoever they want to be. And they're very good emulators. They're not very good creators, but they're very good copycats and twisters. And they're very slick and very sly and very intelligent. And so what I started finding myself doing was how I discerned is that I started listening to a bunch of stuff that just confused me. And there were so many promises and dates made that came and went. Mm-hmm. And I began feeling dejected, and I had to ask myself, why? Why did you, number one, let yourself get so excited about something? Like, for instance, I thought we really were going to ascend in 2012 in December. And I wanted to ascend. I wanted to get out of here because I didn't want to be on the planet anymore. And I wanted to go home to my star family. And, we very may well have been on a timeline to ascend in December 2012. But since it didn't happen, I realized that I had to take a serious look at the things that, why this was happening. And that's when I found out through Cameron Day, Robert Morning Sky, several other people about the false light archons. And, of course, John Lamb talks about the archons, but I have a hard time listening to his vibration. But I did really enjoy Cameron Day's Why I'm No Longer a Lightworker article that we posted on N5D, simply because I do have an open mind, and it made sense to me. When something really makes sense to me, then I run with it, and I dive into it further, and I ask for guidance about it, and then I just get led to exactly what I need to read to confirm and answer my questions. So, by the way, that's a lot of part of my discernment, is this guidance system I have. I don't hear voices. I don't see beings, but I know, I feel them. I know that they're here, and they make miracles appear before me all the time, synchronistic events. And every time I ask for guidance, I always find it on the internet. They always lead me to what I need. So then I started realizing I found out about these archons, or these beings that don't want us to ascend and want to keep our vibrational level down. I just quit listening to all kinds of channeling, and I was like pissed off, and I'm like, man, how do I know what's real or not? I mean, it's really a test. It's really a test to learn how to discern. And then I started realizing that a lot of people have hit a point in their life where they are channeling their higher selves and the other beings that they were in other lifetimes. And I thought, well, that is really cool. And as I started listening to people like Brad Johnson, who channels Adronis, and some other people that really have, I think Matt Kahn is a channeler. He gets into this really calm state, and he starts really telling, what's the harm in listening to somebody who really has. Well, and Matt Kahn, by the way, has given an ascension date of September 28th. Well, I'll believe that when the day comes, and I hope to be on the first bus. But I have nothing against Matt Kahn, and I think that he's helped so many people because the main thing, as long as they're talking about energy and raising your vibration, and the healing and clearing and being love, and just being yourself, there's no harm in that. No harm, no foul. I'm all for it. So I have really learned that a lot of us begin to channel our higher selves and other beings, meaning that I think that there's a collective that I work with that probably helps me out when I need a certain answer or whatever. I try to, get into a really relaxed state before I have a show. And I always seem to be able to tune into the audience's questions and ask that particular question. And I end up with no people calling in with questions. It's so funny. I'm like, dang, nobody wants to talk to me. But, they started telling me in the chat room, well, you already answered my question. So that's how I feel about it now. I think that we are learning, we are all growing as a group, and we're learning how to discern the bullshit channelers now from the people who really have serious. See, I think that part of the New Age deception was throwing that bullshit channeling in so we would move away from listening to channeling, when in fact there is a lot of truth and good information to be found in the right channeling.
Yeah, that's one of the sayings that I love is thimble of truth and a barrel of lies. and that's what I listen to everything that I watch on YouTube and that I hear. That's what I listen with, that state of mind. Let me find the truth in here. And for me personally, I used to talk to. I grew up Catholic, so I used to talk to all the different saints. And I ask them things and ask them for help. And I was always constantly asking and asking and asking and asking. And I got to a point where I just didn't feel the need to, talk to the saints or talk to the archangels, or, when I heard about ascended masters, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I still kind of, talk to them and, try to work on my own channeling abilities, I guess. And now here within this last year, I came to a point where it's, I'm not asking any other entities for anything. I'm going to ask source. I'm going to ask my inner source, my higher self, and I don't feel like I need, channelings or messages from any other entities. I think if it's something that I need to know, that, I'm going to tell myself that one way or another. Just like what you're saying, I have nothing against anybody who's channeling or anybody who talks to the archangels or the ascended masters or anybody. I just don't, for me personally, I don't want to, I guess, take the time to discern what's coming through my mind, what's being inserted in my mind. So if I keep my mind clear and I know it's just me that's in there, or different aspects of me that's in there, then I know that I'm going to get the right answer, and it's going to make sense to me. I might not be able to explain it or tell anybody else about it, but to me, I'm going to be able to internally know it. So, that's where I'm at now. But I was also curious about. So nowadays we have the archangels, ascended masters, and the ETs. 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, whatever, they had, the fairies and the gnomes and the elves. And if you look back on those stories on those legends and the experiences that people would have with the fairies and the gnomes and the elves and, whatever else there was back then, I'm kind of seeing a correlation in the stories that are being said today about, ETs and ascended masters and archangels, but it's almost like a repackaged version of the same story. Have you done any kind of research into that, or have you looked around in that kind of stuff at all?
Yes, and I do agree with you. And it's just like, Jesus came with all these different names, and, Osiris had all these different names. You come to find out that they have these periods of time in this fabled history that's been made up where the same being came back in time loops over and over again with different names, just the same handful of beings. And so, yes, I do think that there are many people that call on ascended masters that are actually getting a jinn or a trickster. That's, they're very, very patient. They can work with somebody and tell them the truth and sweet lies for the rest of the time, after they've already hooked into them and been able to gain their trust. I have just been very fortunate that I haven't had beings talking to me, because I think that's probably it's for the better, because I might have believed them and gone down this, 10 years ago or whatever. Let's say I started up my own practice as a psychic, and I'm receiving messages from Archangel Michael and Jesus, and they're telling me, they're able to give me names of your spirit guides, and they're able to tell, the person their past lives, and they're rattling all this stuff off. And then I, built my business up around that, and then realized that I don't even know who I'm talking to, and some of it could have all been lies, just because they enjoy it, And so, since I don't know who other people are talking to, I'm not in their head, I'm not having their experience, I decided that I definitely did not need to ask for their help anymore. There was one point where I did call on Archangel Michael. There's one point I did call on the being known as Jesus. And then, you know what? It didn't really get me anywhere. It didn't pull me where I needed to be. And so the only thing that really proved to me that, where the help is when I had reestablish the connection with my higher self and my oversoul and source, straight back to source. We've always had that connection. And if we're always trying to call on these quote ascended masters, who, if they're ascended, I don't even know if they'd be able to talk to us, honestly, because they'd be off doing other things,
Yeah.
So they want to distract you from what you're really here to do, and that's to reestablish that connection with source, because you are a spark of source, and they don't want you to know that. So look over here. Let's be distracted with this beautiful message of love and light, and we're here to help you and to save you. When in fact, we don't need saving. We just need to wake up and remember who we are, and clear ourselves and begin to take in that wonderful energy, that vibration that's here on the planet. But I will say, tomorrow night on the Cosmic Awakening show, my guest is Rosemary Guiley, and she's a paranormal and metaphysical expert with over 60 books on paranormal, including angels and jinns and archangels. And I will be talking to her about this very question. And she as well had a Catholic upbringing, so she does have a basis of Christianity, which for me personally, I'm totally turned off by all religion.
Yep.
And can't even be in a church. I respect whatever makes somebody passionate enough to bring the truth about the jinns, and the basis behind how they can also shapeshift as an extraterrestrial. Let's say there's some grays, and they came in the 50s, and they made a deal with the government, and they abducted people or whatever. Well, there's also jinns since then that can shapeshift as grays and come do the same thing to people, or just take them and terrorize them because they like doing that. But the thing is there's, we all want to know about that. And I think what's happening, and I'm sorry to get off that topic here, but what's happening is people are being able to see into the next dimension now. In the last 3 weeks, I've had numerous reports of people that have never had clairvoyance before being able to see beings in their room. And that tells me that we're merging into the next dimension, that we're folding these two dimensions together, and that as people raise their vibration and we fold dimensions, that we will be able to see them, and that's where they're going to lose their grip over us. Not only that, but the earth is going to raise her vibration, and as she does that, and these beings are not, they're not of the higher vibration of love and compassion and joy and truth and all the things, they're the opposite. They're not going to be able to stay here with us. The interesting thing is how long this will take and watching it unfold.
Mm-hmm.
What a time to be here, huh?
Exactly.
It's so exciting.
Great time to be.
And if you get information like this and you understand and you know where to go to listen, if you had one of these experiences and you can hear other people talking about it, it takes all of the fear out of it, and you get a complete understanding of what's happening, and you become empowered.
Right. More and more as time goes on, I'm seeing this. I was on the whole ascension bandwagon. I never did think we were all leaving the planet in 2012, but as far as the ascension process, I was fully invested into that. But more and more as time goes on, I'm seeing and sensing and feeling more of an integration than an ascension. To me, the word ascension or an awakening, if you want to call it that, but that's it feels, and I sense that I'm becoming a fuller and more complete being here. My higher self is integrating into this person that I call Tom more than I am ascending, or because ascension to me, that means you're going somewhere, you're leaving someplace, you're going from A to B, or you're getting out of here, right?
You know why, Tom? Because that's what they twisted it to be in the New Age deception.
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about last week, is that, ascension basically took over the word salvation, in a religious state of being, where salvation is you're constantly waiting for something to come and save you. Now, ascension, you're constantly waiting to ascend instead of taking action yourself.
The true meaning of ascension is coming into who you are and bringing that source energy into your body and expanding your body at the same time to be able to bring more of that energy into your body and phasing into the next dimension, and to keep moving through. We're multidimensional beings. So to do that in a physical body, you would get a body of light. And it's happened on the planet many times with gurus in Tibet and Himalayas and India. People have basically disappeared and vanished into the next dimension with their body. But that doesn't mean they went anywhere. It simply means that they changed their vibration. This is all a holographic illusion. It's a game. Mm-hmm. And we are experiencing, energy vibrating at a certain pattern. But not only that, we're experiencing a holographic matrix overlay, which is like a game. It's like it's a deception, an illusion. And we are real beings experiencing this, but we have, been taken 10 strands of our DNA or more. There's actually more, but as far as, counting DNA strands, let's just say that we had 12 and now we have 2. And because the human body was changed so it could be, we could be kept under control and dominated and hoodwinked. And we have been hoodwinked, and we're waking up to that. And there's a period of a phase of time you go through where you're pretty angry, and okay, well, all right, well, now that I know this, I want my other 10 strands of DNA activated, and that's what you start working towards. Yep. Ascension to me is the raising of the consciousness and the vibration to where eventually you're going to be moving back to that which you were, and back towards being the true aspect of source that you are, which is a very powerful creator. And now we have this wonderful body to experience it in, because it's really no fun just flying around on a spaceship from place to place to place all the time. It's nice, or even your own spaceship, your sphere, your energy can actually just be a sphere, and you can just fly around the cosmos or whatever. But it's really cool to have this experience in a physical body, but it would be really better if we had all of our memories and connection to source and everything at our fingertips, and be able to have a whole new experience here in this body. So, and this body is actually going to be upgraded a bit to where it's not truly this type of body. It's a little bit more pliable. It's really what we're going to make it to be. But from what I understand, it's not going to be quite as dense, but it's not going to be quite, like a glowing light bulb or anything like that, but close. Yeah. Kind of in between.
So, I'm sure you've heard about the crystalline chambers that I've heard people talk about. ETs come here with these crystalline chambers, and we can get into them, and it's a fast track to ascension, basically, right? Mm-hmm. So,
I have heard of this.
You have or you haven't?
I have, yes.
Okay, good. So the first time I heard about that, a huge red flag came up to me, and I said, well, that's a little odd, because to get to that certain level, wouldn't you want to have some sort of experiences to kind of guide you once you get there? Some sort of past knowledge of what it took to get there, and to be appreciative of being there, instead of just all of a sudden being thrown into it. Even if you choose to, even if you're on, let's say, even if you're on the right path, right? And then, but you're still a long ways from being fully ascended, and then you get into one of these chambers, what's going to be the consequences of that? And not only the consequences of that, but if it's a synthetic structure, then it's only going to go so far. So I'm thinking about these things, but I hear people talking about them, and, I hear, a lot of people are, be like, oh man, if there was a chamber I could jump into and be fully ascended, I'm going to jump right into it. I'm thinking, well, you might want to think that, or you might want to, rethink that, or, really, dig into that thought, and, think about if you really want to do that. What's your opinion on these crystalline chambers?
Well, my opinion is it might be a little different than some, because I think that I've done this before, and on another planet, and I've come here to do it in the physical body on my own, because when we do that, we're all connected. All humans are connected, and we kind of build a bridge, or we set a stage for other human beings to be able to accomplish that. So the more work that we do on our own without, wanting to rely on the technology, the better. I mean, I think what's happened in several civilizations that have maybe used this technology is they relied on the technology so much. Let's say that they got their vibrations down. They might have got in an argument with their spouse, lowered their vibrations, and maybe their bodies, got a little bit of illness or whatever. They jump into a machine and they get all fixed up, and they, stay 25 years old and live 300 or 400 years by being able to jump into the machine. But what happened is the people started leaving their bodies after a certain period of time. They had their earth experience done, and people got really lazy and forgot how to do it organically, forgot how to heal themselves and raise their vibration organically, and all the machines broke down. And then, these people went back into the dark ages again and got sick and died. And, so we don't need machines. However, let's just say that, if we've done all of our work and we are really trying hard, but they just keep blasting us with radiation. They just keep blasting us. They take all of our water away. They take all of our food away. And it comes down to a point where, those of us who are ready to move to the next vibrational level haven't been able to do so because of some, huge thing happened. I probably, if I knew that it was my star family, with no doubt, and there was a machine there, and I was told everybody's going to do this because of this. I don't know. It'd be a really hard decision, but I do know that I came here to do this organically, and I do know that I have help already doing it. I mean, they may even take us in our astral bodies up into the ships and be doing this. Maybe that's where these stories of these technology machines, crystalline chambers, came from. Maybe that's how we woke up. Maybe that's how we are raising our vibration. So I don't have a definite answer for you, other than I do know that I'm here to do this with my thought, intention, and consciousness. And whatever help I get on the other side, I'll take. I'm not going to go jumping into any spaceship that lands, though, and say, okay, come and jump in our crystalline chamber. No, I would have to be very, very certain that this is a last-ditch effort, and there probably would be no coercing, is to come on our ship, come visit our ship. It would be more like they just extract you and bring you, because it's time, because you had to. So that's kind of my answer on that.
I can see a use for it or a need in certain situations. If that critical mass. So we have 90% of the planet ready to go and ready to evolve, and we have that 10% that is really struggling with reaching some certain points. I can see a use there.
Yes, for those, yes, especially for people who just woke up, last month or last week, and they need a real fast track, but they've taken in so much information that they truly have connected with their higher selves, and they know what they're here to do. But it's this environment, this physical environment that we're in, and all the poisons and toxins that can really, they could get. Let's just say they could get cancer, immediately, and not be able to clear it. There's a really tough point when you get a serious illness and it lowers your vibration. There's a really tough point where you are too sick to be able to heal yourself. Right. And except for the wonderful things like cannabis oil, you have to truly have faith that you can heal yourself with cannabis oil, and the doctors are telling you the exact opposite. You need to put poison in your body and do all these things. Maybe you need surgery or whatever, and maybe sometimes you do. But it's just so difficult right now to have a serious illness and to keep moving forward. So, in that case, I don't know. It would be great to have a miracle healing machine. And I think that in the future, the children and people are going to there's a lot of people having the information downloaded into their mind on healing technologies. And we already have the Rife machine. We already have several machines that have been banned, outlawed, and they don't want us using them. There's already a lot of wonderful sound and light healing technologies that will vibrate energies apart, simply the same thing that Earth is going to be doing, vibrating the energies apart. Whatever you're holding on to, it's going to start to be vibrated apart, and that's when you start having these things like, pneumonia in the lungs and stuff, because the energies are being vibrated apart, and there's a physical expelling that needs to happen to get rid of whatever it was. So, it's all unfolding, it's unfolding on what we need. And, timelines change every minute. We're all moving towards, this, quantum timeline. The end result's the same, but it's like how we're going to get there, whether we need technology or whether we're going to do this with our pure intention and healing of each other, because we really don't need machines. We're that powerful. We've just forgotten how.
Right. Well, we've burned up this first hour, and man, good stuff. Michelle, you're absolutely amazingly tapped in. So, okay, well, guys. Michelle, would you throw out your websites real quick, please?
Sure. My main website is n5d.com. That's IN and the number 5 and then D.com. And then I have howtoexitthematrix.com if you want to get into some really big rabbit holes. And then all of my shows and articles can be found on my database that I just keep, cosmicstarseeds.com. And then to book a holistic life coaching session, it would be michellewalling.com.
All right, fantastic. And they are all listed in the info tab on wherever you happen to be listening to this at. And if you're out there listening on one of those other formats, the YouTubes, the Vimos, the iTunes, wherever this lands, and you want to check out the second hour, I would urge you to go over to www.hundredthmonthlyradio.com, where you'll find 6 years worth of audio there. So Okay, we're going to take ourselves a break, and we will return in the members section where we will continue talking with Michelle, and we're going to dip into this Wave X a little bit and see what's happening there. It's actually
exciting.
Yeah, it's actually some stuff that we talked about here in the first hour. All right, guys, much love. Condemnation without investigation is the high position.
Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
How do you wash your sweet potato?
Thanks, everybody.
Head aside.